I was a big fan of Hanny's already. I'd seen most of his movies and I really loved them. And so I was interested in his take on a Hollywood film, I suppose. And so he brings a different aesthetic and a different way of coverage, of covering the scenes, and the way he wanted the camera to move and the lighting was to me interesting. And I like working with different directors, and so for me it was a new experience.
Oh! Anybody? Anyone?
I had to work out how to move the camera on the mountain. And Hanny had always said to me he wanted the film to be quite elegant and lyrical, and he wanted to move with the characters through the environment and not to draw too much attention to the camera. So he didn't do any sort of moves that were unmotivated with we would move around them quite slowly and lyrically, and occasionally we went up to emphasise a moment. But so we had to have a crane on top of the mountain, and the Grips organised 3 days before, and they did a sling from a helicopter and built a crane on top of the mountain and put some gear up there for us. And we couldn't dolly on the snow because they couldn't lay a track, and most of the time the snow was 2 to 4 foot deep sometimes. So they also invented a sled dolly, which had skis. They did 2 of them, a big one for down below and when we're on the ground, and a smaller one for up on the mountain that they could bring up in the helicopter. And we put a remote head on that, and we had a dolly that was, skiing down the mountain with the actors.
Someone's looking for us.
The pilot didn't file a flight plan.
Nobody knows where we are. We're all we've got, me and you.
I've shot a few films in the desert, on Australia and on tracks. We were working up to temperatures of 50 degrees Celsius, so working in the heat and the sand and dust. And so for me, this was just a different kind of challenge. And one of the things that interested me in doing this movie was because, I would read the script and then go, wow, how are we going to do this? How am I going to get what Hanny wants in the time and in the situations that we're going to be in? So I just love having a challenge like that and working it out. And also the crew people love it too, because it gives them something different to do, and they're all thinking and, inventing things.
We can go 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, and 3 hours without shelter.
Shooting up on the mountains, which we went up 8 days, was the most difficult for us because we had to take a small amount of gear. We only had 6 hours by the time we flew up there, and we had to fly out in daylight. So we had 6 hours with 2 cameras and be able to move the camera and get everything done before the weather changed, because if the weather changed, we'd have to evacuate out of there really quickly. And so that was always on our minds. And I suppose that was the most difficult, and just being in quite precarious locations. Luckily, we had amazing safety people and location people with us that would protect us. But that was the most difficult. Like, we were climbing Rocky Mountains at 10,500 feet and working on a glacier as well. So, just physically challenging that part of the movie was.